We can ride anywhere we need to go. We can ride all night up to the morning, as long as we make the show. We can be the best or we can be the worst. So we can be the best thing you ever heard. With the motor singing and the grandstands ringing, it's hard to put it all in words. But this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wild, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do. Out on the dirt ovals we play, life in the bright lights with no shade. So letting her go, letting her rip, letting her fly, tossing her in sideways, living the life, letting her ride, outside winning to die. Cross her up on the cushion, crossing the line, cause some drama and some bullshit they didn't like. And if they don't like the move, then we're
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are here today. We are here with this background for potentially the last time for a little bit of a while. Of course, going down under here very soon. Going over to the big cars on the other side of the ocean. My first trip over the ocean. And if something does happen to the Chaz, let me just say this right now. I feel perfectly fine in my life. I've went through a lot of adversity in life. I do not feel any. I've been in way worse, I guess, technical life positions than I ever am even close to as I am today, and have came back and fought through and been very technically positive and had a lot of technical self-confidence to be able to come from down under. And now we have come to the top, and now we're going back down. This is a back to the forwards and backwards, back and forth. We're doing it. So I feel perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with me personally. Yes, I just had the recent breakup with that has happened. We're talking. Everything's fine. Not talking as far as going to have, just mutual. There's nothing wrong with me that will ever, when y'all wake up one day and something happens, and if once again, if something was to happen and somebody, or all of a sudden there's a story that Chaz wrote a letter and said he's gone, it's not happening, not true. Anything that may come out is not true. I mean, I've sat here and said what I've said for years upon years, and nothing's came to got me, because there is nothing to come and get. I'm so authentic with who I am and what I say and what I do, and show every bad and good thing, even the fake teeth, all of it, because I'm not afraid of myself. I'm fine with looking in the mirror and being who I am. I'm comfortable in my own skin. Now, I do believe in weight loss and nutrition and proper things and how to be and what you should potentially put into your body and drink. I think obviously I'm very open with unfortunate nicotine addiction, but there's a few vices, but there's not a lot. My list and my line of things that I do or I try to self-police myself to where I don't do many things incorrectly. I try really hard. Now, everyone makes mistakes, just like we were talking about the other day. There's people that have made mistakes in the past, and it is best to learn from those mistakes and move forward, and that's what I try to do. I try to be my own worst critic. I believe that great race car drivers, great football players, I know I mentioned Tom Brady, Michael Jordan's, Kobe Bryant's, the best performers that we know of in the world, best people almost, well, I don't know, that's questionable, are their own worst critic. They're their own worst hater-aid person. That's why I can sit here and be okay with people saying whatever they say about me, because I've probably said 10 times worse to myself. But I believe that's the way you actually lead to authenticity and accept thyself. Now, there's a lot of things happening in the racing world. And of course, yesterday we had the watch situation, the Of course, I pointed out the watch situation, but the telecommunications or two-way communications issues by giving drivers their little, receiver, their own that was provided. And then, obviously checking sleeves for watches and all that. And we went into how those things are actually utilized out onto the racetrack, not just so you can look down and read a text, but how you actually utilize those things with vibrations. Now, I did have a person message me and said, "Hey, Chaz, there's more than one way to do what you're talking about with the vibration segment." He was making a joke, and he was kind of saying, or well, I guess I'm making this up part, right? He wasn't making it. I said this. He made a joke about, they have these collars for dog training that they don't shock, but they vibrate. So it's like a form of communication where you say something to the dog and you push the button and it shocks, or it doesn't shock. They got collars that don't shock the dog. It just vibrates so that it gets the attention. Like, what was that? Doesn't hurt, but it just makes a vibration. He was like, what if they was to put that around their leg or something? So, and when he said that, it's like, well, yeah, I mean, if somebody really wanted to go to those extenses, and my joke was, I responded and said, well, probably some of these guys up front in the positions that they are and how they talk when they get on camera, they might as well put it around their balls because that's how they're controlled. But regardless, I thought that was funny. The whole situation yesterday was very interesting, and it looks like we do have Spike Fast Racing in the channel. Oh my God, hold on, we gotta document the YouTube chat to begin. Oh my, this is the person that has been missing. He's been gone like it's Broke Joe, for crying out loud. The Chaz is a survivor. I tried sushi. It's good. Wow. When you said vibrating, I thought you were going to go the Hans Niemann chess cheating route. Probably another way you could do it. Probably another way. The Pineappler says, I get hate for my honesty on my channel for eating the world's hottest peppers. People will hate you for things they wish you could do. Keep doing you. If they don't like it, they're going to hate. And once again, I mean, almost would like to see this guy's channel. What's this guy's Pineappler channel? We may have to pull you up and see what you all got. Spike Fast Racing says the vibration notification makes sense. It does make a lot of sense. I don't know why some people are thinking that it's just so outlandish. And even on my TikTok, I put my little short TikTok out where I made my little joke about it. I'm going to look up this Pineappler real quick. Let's see if we can find his channel. Hold on. Let's see. This could be interesting. I would like to highlight that. The Pineappler. He says he makes videos. Please tell me you're telling the truth. Hold on. Please tell me. The Pineappler. I spelled it right. Let's see here. Pineappler channel. Or maybe it's the Pineapple Show. Not sure. But regardless, the vibration thing is very real. And maybe Spike, with his way of thinking, that he's thinking completely differently. People who hate, oh, wow, Spike's coming in here with all kind of grace. What happened? Did Spike get baptized while he was gone? What happened? Did you have a life-changing experience, sir? People who hate on that idea are foolish. Yes, okay, we'll show you the little short that we made just to give you a little bit of a fresher. It's also on TikTok. Maybe we could go to the TikTok and hopefully they won't flag the video. We gotta be sure on some of the stuff we're gonna show today to not show any flow racing content because they do flag the videos. And I get them removed because obviously it's kind of an automatic thing. But at the same time, it takes like 30 days to get it removed, and I gotta like message Rigsby and be like, hey, can you just like speed this up or something? I'm trying to like get it actually completed and get it up, because when it's in that kind of escrow zone they call it, there's like all kinds of things when all this stuff, this work, the monetization, not a lot of monetization in YouTube. I think people underestimate that. That's why I say the super chats and the memberships mean a lot, but there is a little, and when you're in this industry where you need a little, I mean, you would definitely like to be able to take advantage of that. So here is the little video that we put out of the whole Watchgate situation, kind of making fun, poking fun at the announcers. Hopefully they didn't cry. It was a joke. It was just a joke. And this is the short that we put out for the world to see. I thought it was funny, kind of detailing this whole watch situation. And this will be a little bit of a good debrief before we get into the rest of the show. Here's what we got here. Isn't you got to like look down and see what the text message says. Now, I did hear the announcing group at the Chili Bowl on Flow. You know, when I was racing, I never had time to really look at my wrist. I don't know how you can do it. You don't have to look at these watches to be signaled. If you get a text message, that's some bitch, you could set it to vibrate. Like if you're out there running the bottom and you're in this groove and a guy's coming on the top, all I gotta do is text the guy. You could set it up to where one vibration or one text message means low, 2 or 3 or multiple texts going to the top. The smart way of thinking about it is code coordination. How could you feel that? How could you feel the vibrations of the car when you're out there racing? There is an intense vibration. There is a certain rhythm, though, to that vibration. So when something breaks that rhythm vibration on your actual veins of your body, you notice it. I just think that some people need to hear that because it seems like even some of the professionals calling the race have no idea how you could do that. Oh, wow. Maybe that was a little bit, man, once again, I'm my own worst critic. Did I subconsciously, because I believe in the subconscious domain, did I subconsciously talk about the Flow Racing announcers because of the flagging that I experienced? That almost comes across as that, but I do think it's funny how obviously that's Larson with the watch, the whole situation at Chico that some people had a problem with, some people didn't. It's funny how in the video, it's a Flow Racing driver with the watches on. Who could be potentially be taking advantage of these situations. Regardless, we did not come in here to talk about this. We came in here to talk about this ninja right here. Oh, this ninja right here. This Noah right here. So this is Matt Ward, and he was interviewed. I'm not going to play this video. If you want to watch it, go to Flow. But this was a interview where Matt Ward, and I just want to say this before we get into talking too much, because I believe that this guy needs a little background context. So, Matt Ward, and I know some people, I've talked about Chili Bowl and the whole issue at Shootout and all this, and how I have an issue with the building and how things are ran in the situation and all that. But Matt Ward, who's a very powerful individual, probably one of the main reasons I was able to get into the Chili Bowl after being kicked out of the Shootout. This guy is one of the most sincere, honest, hard-working, fair is fair type of guys, possibly in motorsports. I mean, he's stuck down there in the South, which gets no respect, period. But and probably deserves more, and what I mean by that is probably deserves more credibility than some of these other people that run things in PA and California and Outlaws and High Limits. In my opinion, this guy trumps them all. This guy is all about fairness and equality, and he doesn't look at things and say, oh, well, and he says this in this interview. He talks about how he looked at footage in the past and said, we saw some drivers that were running a line, and a guy behind him started running them down in another line, and all of a sudden the guy who was in a line switched lines to where that guy was running. And see, that's for him, when he sees that, he doesn't sit there, and what I was about to say, he doesn't sit there and say, oh, well, that's Kyle, he would never do that. Or he doesn't sit there and say, even at like a regional drive, oh, that's Jason McDougal, he would never do that. Or I'm just giving examples. That's Christopher Bell. He would never do that. He doesn't think about it like that. No, this guy's like, there's a possibility that human beings could be lying for their own self-image. Possibility. Possible. And he says, okay, the way to fix this stuff to where that possibility doesn't matter, and all these potentialities of what is happening out here, which we've been hearing about these two-way communication systems all the time, Of course, in Silver Crown Racing, I heard that one guy with Silver Crown Racer was bitching, oh, they've been doing it for years. But Silver Crown Racing, you have a spotter. I spotted for Brady Bacon when he won at Belleville earlier or last year. Amazing race, by the way. But, and also the watches, obviously these watches, how we depicted with the vibrations and all that, they matter. They do make up a possibility to where someone could just, when you say they would never do that, you're ignoring human tendency to lie, which has just happened in the world's history. It's just happened. It's what people will do, especially in such of a situation that he was, or some people are faced when they're potentially have evidence of getting out of a car with a watch on. Oh, I would never use it. Oh, it's just for this. Oh. Potential's there that's a lie. Right? It's there. I mean, no one wants to admit that they were using it, right? No one's gonna do that. And I think Matt Ward, as smart as this guy is and as fair as this guy is, recognizes that and did the things that he did. And once again, this guy right here, I think deserves way more credit because there is a few people we only hear about in the Chili Bowl shootout era of the year. It's not like Gateway and Tyler Carpenter. I don't want to say Hank Davis is slowly becoming the Tyler Carpenter of this Chili Bowl event, because obviously Hank Davis ran an amazing race tonight, but he's stuck down there running in the South, in the Sooner region, I believe it is. We don't see this guy a lot nationally. We don't pay attention to him, and then he's up there, running down Buddy Kofoid at one point. If that race stays green there in that later half, Hank Davis would have, I feel like, would have at least been able to attempt to pass for the lead. But another guy in the same light of a Tyler Carpenter matters once a year type of deal, or gets that national spotlight once a year, that's a Matt Ward. We don't really hear about him too much outside. Do you hear about this guy at Knoxville? Do you hear about this guy in PA, the national scenes, Eldora? Do you hear about this guy anywhere else? But just like a Hank Davis, could be one of the best drivers out there, just stuck to his region and where he's at and kind of restrained because that South racing region don't get a lot of respect. Matt Ward, in the director sense, is in that same boat. This is a guy who is probably one of the best directors when it comes to fairness and equality on the racetrack, but just doesn't get that attention year round. And hopefully, when we see things like what he's doing here, this is a reason to maybe, even if he can't branch out and go and do other things, pay attention to what they're doing down there, how they're doing it. And obviously, if he's got this type of structure, what he's doing down there has to be some type of good and respectful form of motorsport. So this is just like the Hank Davis. Maybe Hank Davis, coming from Sooner Region ASCS or whatever he's running down there in Oklahoma, we don't pay attention to it all year long. We give our attention to PAs and Ohios and Californias and Knoxvilles and Houstons and all this stuff on a weekly basis. But maybe a region down there where a Hank Davis, who just almost put it on Kofoid's ass, is worth that attention and that respect. So big round of applause to Matt Ward and him individually. Like I said, I've had issues with the building. Better halves are sometimes a whole other issue, but this guy in particular, and he does have a lot of power and a lot of say in that building. This is a guy you can rely on to do things right in the Tulsa Expo Center. So I just want to say that, point that out. This is the guy who did it. This is the interview. If you want to watch the interview, the actual talk of what, and you could tell when you have this interview, very serious, and this beard has gotten longer over the years. But the ego has not. When you go listen to this guy knows what's right, knows what's wrong, and I do think this sport lives in too much of a gray area sometimes. A lot of people call me black and white sometimes when it comes to the sport and in other departments, but I feel like the world has a little too many shades of gray. This guy doesn't come to the board. In competition motorsports, in my opinion, gray should be almost eliminated. And if you see a hint of gray, you need to attack to remove that gray. That's how fairness and equality in a competitive form of any sport is done. That's why the referees are in black and white uniforms. I don't understand why other people are like, he wouldn't do it. That's gray, buddy. That's a gray area. Let's eliminate the grays. Great job by Matt Ward, a guy who I think is doing that in the position and the power that he has within the Chili Bowl. Amazing job. And I'm not just trying to kiss his ass, because Chili Bow, and I've been saying this and that. No, this is honestly, and me and him have had talks before. This guy does things right. He's done it for a long time. And I am about the little guys a lot, the ones who are badass and don't get that respect and recognition in the motorsports world on the racetrack. This is one of those guys who once a year gets that recognition, gets that respect, but the rest of the year we kind of don't hear about him. And where does he go? You know, it's on to these other guys and this dude and that dude. This guy and what he's doing may be worth paying attention to for the rest of the year. Don't want to keep talking in circles, but great ordeal. Go check it out. Flow Racing. This is on their Facebook page. Now, of course, today, the bigger news, I would say, Michael Buddy Kofoid announcing he was going to be pursuing the 2024 NOS Energy Drink. I don't even want to say that word. Back to what you eat and what you drink. The World of Outlaws Championship in 2024. And this is a situation where it sounded like in the post-race interview, of course, he won tonight, obviously driving one of the Keith Kunz cars, the Mobil 1 machine at the Chili Bow. He got the victory, got the W. He said in post-race victory lane that they had kind of already knew about this happening for a long time. And then it finally, a deal recently, it finally was 100%. I guess it was like 85 prior to that, kind of like most of the rumors around this whole situation. Why hasn't it been announced? But then he said, once we found out it was done, why not just announce it on my prelim night at the Chili Bow? That's what they did, obviously, today, releasing this news. And then he goes out there and wins the damn race. Very good way to all package it up and put it out. Now, where do we slot Buddy Kofoid? And like I put in the thumbnail, Kofoid or Buddy plus Outlaws, instant success, ? Obviously, today, that was the symbolism of our 24 hours of simulation. He won the race tonight, so maybe that's a sign of things to come. You got to understand how this thing actually works. Once again, there is the black, there is the white. Moloch is on the black side, white is on the other, if you just open your ears to listen just a little bit, sir. Anyways, we're not going to get into the Cat Williams thing. At the end of the day, Buddy Kofoid last year opened up the World of Outlaw season, I believe, as the points leader as they left Volusia. Don't hold that to me, but he had won at Volusia. I believe he won it at Talladega Short Track. And this guy obviously didn't stay on the tour full time, but if he was, he potentially could have been a championship contender last year. Now everybody's like, oh, well, that was just the first couple of races of the season, and that's not really going to determine your championship contingency capabilities. Now, mind you, over the last few years, we've had a few drivers in our minds, like Logan Schuchart and Sheldon Haudenschild in the offseason, and we're like, this is his year. He had this big momentum at the end of the year. What are the two? And in everyone's mind, this is it. This is where he gets it done. And then, in Sheldon and Logan's example, they opened up the year soft. And even though they might have heated up come April or May, when you're up against, obviously Brad Sweet's gone, but still a consistent driver and performer like a David Gravel, and you're up against Carson Macedo and the Phil Dietz Motorsports 41, when you're up against these guys, you can't have a bad month or a few weeks. You got to start seasons off running well like Kofoid. You got to be so consistent to compete on the World of Outlaw stage. Now, I believe you're going to have to be just as consistent to compete on the high limit stage as well. We just didn't have that stage previously. But when I reference how hot he started off last year, that hotness that he started out with last year is a hotness that some of these other guys I just mentioned have lacked to have the ability to compete for a championship. So you have to be extremely consistent to be able to compete for that champion. Now, obviously, Buddy Kofoid, a two-time midget champion. Obviously, midgets is definitely the kiddie league of the racing world. I think an ASCS championship is more recognizable, especially an all-star. Heck, maybe an IMCA National Race Saver Sprint Car Championship, in my opinion, deserves more credibility. Where's Jake Buback when you need him? I think you could put Jake Buback in some of these cars and perform very well. But regardless, I'm not saying that about Buddy Kofoid. Obviously, he handled business where business was needed to be handled. And Logan Seavey, if somebody wants to put him in a wing car, I think Logan Seavey's another guy just like Kofoid is. But regardless, we're talking about Buddy Kofoid's championship possibilities. And is he another hand into this battle? Because we all been talking about Big Three gone, kind of trying to question mark who's that third guy. We all have in our mind gravel Macedo. And I said it a couple weeks ago. Usually when everyone's saying gravel or Macedo or this guy or that guy or it's all gravel, usually when something is so blatantly standing out in the field as the option, that is usually a decoy. That is usually not going to happen. That is usually a setup to make you think this is going to happen when actually this is going to come out of nowhere. And that's not necessarily me saying it's orchestration, although very interesting, back to, Exalta. But I'm saying in the sense of sometimes the world around us doesn't allow us to think so similarly. Something has to come in and break what you think. Something has to come in and says, oh, well, you think Logan's going to get it done? Bam. You think Sheldon's going to pop back? Bam. Sometimes some of these things aren't just so visually obvious. And this is a curveball to that whole Macedo or gravel situation. Because obviously, Buddy Kofoid extremely fast. Obviously, at the Houston's High Bank Nationals that David Gravel won, he blew the motor and kind of gave that win to David Gravel. I don't know if David Gravel was going to pass Buddy Kofoid, but it was extremely hard to pass on Houston. It's one of the hardest tracks to make a pass on, I think, especially when you have the best drivers there. But regardless, Buddy Kofoid, I think, is seasoned enough, smart enough, calm enough. I mean, you watch that Chili Bowl main event tonight. I think Hank Davis possibly had some nerves that caused some mistakes in those late race restarts to where he biked the car up and had an issue. I think that Buddy Kofoid, who's from that West Coast sprint car scene, Buddy, first of all, once again, both nights now have been dominated by the West Coast sprint car drivers. Buddy Kofoid was in that scene at 12, 13 years old, just like a Kyle Larson. These guys who are used to that little pond over there that's full of alligators on the West Coast, some dangerous ponds, not no soft ponds like some of these other areas of the country, but a dangerous ass pond. When you come out of that pond surviving, you're a bad son of a bitch. It's tough. It may be. I can't wait to get to Australia because it seems like that may be a little bit. That may be a little bit bigger than California. It may be a little bit of a lake over there with some badass crocodiles. We're going to go see what these Dundees are all about. They're handing fucking rights on all these guys their ass. Obviously Sweet and Rico competing, but there's some ballers over there. There's some killers in the water in Australia in their little scene. But regardless, Buddy Kofoid's come from a very dangerous pond. And he's went out on the road. Yes, it's a midget scene. And yes, it's this and that. And he's been in ARCA and he's tried this NASCAR thing that really there's no hope. If you ain't bringing a big check, there's no hope for the NASCAR route. If you got a big check, see you later. I won't respect you. But this thing right here, this sprint car deal is taking off. It's taking it over. They're falling down. We're going up. They're nothing but Indy cars in the 90s and we're NASCARs in the 90s. It's coming very slowly. This guy has kind of veteran-based experience already at his young age. And he did run a lot of outlaw races to end the year last year, was very consistent, won at Placerville. Buddy Kofoid is, I would say, and obviously Roth with TRD support, going to be kind of an OEM team, which is big. They're going to get a hand over fist support. Finances are not an issue. Driver's the only question mark, and now it looks like the driver has been filled with this. And I'm not saying James McFadden could have been a championship contender last year, I think, without the tire issues. But that's a whole nother subject. I really do hope that James McFadden runs still a Roth car or what's going on with the 11. I've heard that TRD wants 2 cars running around here, and the rumors are James McFadden in the high limit deal. I'm not sure about that. That's just the rumors. But then this 11 car that's kicking ass, is that just scrap now that Brendan Crouch is going to the national scene? And they're just going to be a 1-car operation? Who knows? That's a very fast car that Buddy Kofoid was leading World Outlaw point standings in. So that's a very good operation with some smart people spinning the wrenches on that thing. There's a lot of options out there. But Buddy Kofoid, with this package, with this team, with his career experience, where he's come from, where he's at, how calm, and back to how calm he was in that main event. Did y'all see Buddy Kofoid running the bottom at Chili Bowl? Did you see him jump to the top? Yeah, he made some mistakes there in a little bit, but he handled his mistakes very well. When he was rolling the bottom, it looked like it was just clockwork to him. He was just in an element. He was in the zone, as they call it. Now, another guy who I would almost point out during the Chili Bowl that was very impressive would be David Gravel. I mean, imagine if you took all the top talented wing drivers and put them in really good race cars at the Chili Bowl. How many midget guys would even finish in the top 10? I swear. Or non-wing sprint car guys. We saw T-Mez throw that big slider on gravel, and I was watching the races with people. Oh, there's T-Mez. I was like, you don't know. As T-Mez threw the slider, I said to him, oh, gravel's got him. Gravel just drove it right under him like clockwork because they're used to that level. That ain't like some big move that some of these other guys are like, oh, how do I do this? These wing guys that are on this level, like Kofoid's been used to racing too, they're so much used to things just happening quicker, faster, in a hurry, and the performance competition level is just 10 times more. So I want to give a big shout out to David Gravel because you could see his calmness as well, how he was working the bottom, and then he had that key guy just chop his nose off, but he didn't. Other guys would get all pissed off and, oh, screw that guy. David Gravel just let off the gas, rolled the bottom, worked the car up. Very impressed by David Gravel's performance as well. But that's that calmness, I think, that wing sprint cars teach you. And with just enough experience, you can be a really badass contender in any series. And I want to say that the World of Outlaws is still the 1A of the sprint car world. I do want to say that. High Limit has a hell of a roster, but I still feel personally, as a sprint car guy, a little bit of an allegiance to the World of Outlaws. I do, personally. I think most people do. I think Brad even says it. That's why when they bring up Outlaws and competing against the Outlaws as a national tour, he tries to, kind of say, we're not trying to do that. We're not trying to do that. Because even as much as Brad may have been treated this way or they didn't play nice or whatever's going on, I still think that Brad Sweet is still that, like all of us, we're still that 5 to 10, 15-year-old kid who has these idolizations and dreams and goals. And that's why I say the Cole Trickle effect's so big, because of the time frames of all that and these different icons of the sports and how they actually affect a person's entire career. But I still think Brad Sweet has a soft spot for the World of Outlaws. And I do think that the World of Outlaws do have a very good roster. And now they added Buddy Kofoid. I think that Buddy Kofoid is ready to be a championship contender. I don't know. The Holy Ghost is like wanting me to say right now that I'm picking Buddy Kofoid to be the champion of the World of Outlaw Sprint Car Series in 2024. Like, when you have thoughts are not like of your own. It's kind of like a web effect, worldwide. Symbolism back to black and white with the referees. I don't want to get y'all into the Masonic symbolism of the world. But regardless, something is itching me to say that Buddy Kofoid's going to be the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series champion right now. Something in the web is connecting right now. Is that what's going to happen? This is not like pre-planned. I'm literally having this thought right now. Everything's kind of adding up. This would be correct. A guy comes in, and especially if sprint cars is going to go to the next level, he's a great example, Buddy Kofoid, as the career path of how, and bringing along the OEM of Toyota, of how you're this guy who has all this talent, but you didn't have the money to go the NASCAR route, so you had to go World of Outlaw Sprint Car Racing, and obviously you slide underneath OEM and TRD, and you become this champion of this thing, and you battle it out with David Gravel and Macedo, and it's just amazing championship battle throughout the entire year. Sounds like a really good story. Just like, Exalta returning with JJR in the 41 and sweeping the week at Knoxville. A great story. Storylines, it's very interesting how the world sometimes works in a cinematic way. Row, row, row the boat gently down the stream. But at the end of the day, I might have to say that Buddy Kofoid would be my pick. I mean, I don't know. Am I out of line here to say that Buddy Kofoid is a championship contender in the World of Outlaw Sprint Car Series? Obviously, we don't have a resume of his full year. What could he do? This is how he finished this year. Can he improve? But I really don't think real hitters slowly improve. I think real hitters step up to the plate and start hitting them out the park. And it shocks everybody. It's like the Kyle Larson thing. It shocks everybody how good you can be when you just jump in a car, do this or do that. Real hitters, that's what they do. That's how they roll. This is how we ride. This is how we roll. Just like the damn song. So, dang, everything's falling up in place here. Maybe Buddy Kofoid is going to be the champion. One little bitty subject, I almost didn't want to say it, that we kind of have to talk about is this. Kyle Larson, he's back at the Chili Bowl. Man, how the feeling, the energy, I feel the darkness in the room. Surprise announcement, it looked like today, that he will be racing the Chili Bowl this week, doing the Dirt Double. Apparently, his qualifying night will be Thursday, racing for Keith Kunz Motorsports. Nice to see that relationship get back to where it belongs. But this is a situation where some people are seeing it as what you think it is. You know, you see it as a driver. You see it as, oh, wow, he's coming to win a race. This is awesome. Great. Just figured it out today. It's under my belief that Kyle Larson, in this position, in this state of being that we are witnessing this capsule operate in today's world, that Kyle Larson is showing you he is not who you think he is. Kyle Larson is no longer just a driver in racing. Kyle Larson is a promoter. Obviously, a very tight relationship with Flow Racing, who's been all over him and everything that we're talking and looking at. Outside of the World of Outlaws is going to be on Dirt Vision. Get that subscription when you can. But he's a promoter. This whole surprise entry that we're hearing about, in my opinion, is not a surprise. In my opinion, this was all premeditated. And the reason I say that is because back when Kyle announced, or they made the posts, that he was going to be running the Wild West Shootout, in the comment sections, you saw Brian Walker, Walkipedia, saying, I think it was Michael Rigsby said, Wild West Shootout. And the comment section had Brian Walker, it said Chili Bowl Nationals. And I believe, in my belief, once again, don't know if this is factual, I believe at that time they already knew that he was going to do this. They already knew that he was going to run the Chili Bowl. But when you're working within a conglomerate, when you are the WWE, you don't just tell the audience how the play is going to happen. We already know that this guy is going to win the championship belt next week or 3 months. We already know this is going to happen. You have to structure it in a promotional-based aspect to sell the pay-per-view, to sell the event. Real promoters do this. And I think that's what happened. I believe that this was premeditated the entire time. And this was structured and an idea to promote both events, because now it's this new Dirt Double. It's a surprise. Wow, Larson's coming. Wow. Last second, the crowd out there who doesn't think this way. Wow, oh my God, he just busted through. Oh, wow. That's what it is. It's promoting. This is Kyle Larson, the promoter, the new element that he has embarked into, obviously with High Limit and everything going on. And I wouldn't be surprised if that somehow slithers in here some way or issue or situation. But he's going to attempt, apparently, the Dirt Double, meaning if the Chili Bowl A-Main ends soon enough, he will somehow fly, or maybe he will just, get on his broomstick and fly over himself to Vado to race the late model main event on this Saturday night. I believe that's what they're planning. Although I believe Vado has a Sunday night event. Don't hold that to me. But regardless, I heard Dirt Double. So he's going to try to run the Chili Bowl and the Wild West Shootout. Now, what do I think of this personally? What do I think of this whole he's back situation? Just like I said to some of these American drivers when they were over there in Australia getting their ass whooped by these badass Australians that race over there full time and don't have the money or opportunity to come to America, but they're just as badass. Just how I gave you the California example, same situation. There's a bunch of them over there. I was saying, you some bitches over there crying about a tire that you're not used to, trying to be this best of the best. You have to give credit where credit is due. And in that aspect, the credit is due here for Kyle Larson. In the promoter's aspect, that is. We can have our debates on who's best driver and who should have, could have been, whatevers. We're talking about the promotion of the sport, in my opinion, right now. And in that element, the credit is due. All of a sudden, I guarantee you, the viewership for Flow Racing tomorrow night, Thursday night, hopefully I'm not on a plane, I'll be able to potentially see it, is going to be unreal Thursday night to watch the Chili Bowl Midget Nationals now. It's going to be, I would guarantee it's going to be the biggest ratings of the week. And now, what Kyle has done here has saved Buddy Kofoid, saved Logan Seavey, saved Tanner Carrick, saved any of these guys who are at the Chili Bowl Midget Nationals trying to make a name for themselves. He saved them. Because Rico's not in the building, buddy. Christopher Bell ain't there. And when Larson ain't there, and let's just say this right now, Kyle Larson's bread and butter. He's not a NASCAR driver in dirt. He's not a NASCAR driver in late models. This son of a bitch is a open wheel dirt track driver. That's the pond he came out of with the alligators over there. He's one of the alligators out of the dirt tracks. The open wheel scene of California where you race your midgets, you race your outlaw carts, you race your sprint cars. That's what he is. Okay? And the glory of the Chili Bowl has always been, traditionally, you had to have it was the one race where you had Steve Kinsers and Sammy Swindells and Jack Hewitts and Corey Kruzmans and all of the best were there. And if you won that race, almost like in the late model world where they have the 2 national series and everyone's at the World 100. So winning that World 100, if you beat them or if you win that race, you could say you beat the best in the world. That's why it's the World 100. The Chili Bowl came with that same type of stake in the ground for the open wheel dirt scene. Sprint car, winged or non-winged, midget, Silver Crown, all these guys. That was the stake in the ground you could have when you won the Chili Bowl. Since our icons can go to other forms of motorsports, or like Christopher Bell has a dog collar around his nuts and isn't allowed to race dirt. But I mean, if I was him, I would just quit NASCAR. He can make a great living over here being in dirt. If Christopher Bell went full-time dirt racing tomorrow, his status and elevation would just be so much bigger. And the dirt racing is going up as well. Hell, you could probably partner with Dirt Vision and it could be Kyle versus Christopher all over again with the streaming services on the side. Regardless, you have to have the best in the building for that stake to be valid. Now, Kyle Larson, once again, I said he is a open wheel sprint car alligator from California. That's what he is. He is one of the baddest ass, best son of a bitches that you can find behind the wheel of one of these race cars. I would put him above Rico, personally. I would put him, I think Christopher Bell's right. I think Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson is toe to toe. I know some people are like, oh, how can you say that? Well, Christopher Bell didn't say a word and got to go race dirt full time and all this stuff. And hasn't had the same opportunities as Larson. I mean, they haven't drove the same cars. You can't compare the two. Regardless, you need a guy like Kyle Larson in the building for the Logan Seaveys. You need a guy in the building for the Tanner Carricks, in the building for Tanner Thorsons and all these guys, so that when they win that race, that same feeling of I beat the best is still there. So in that element, Kyle Larson saved this event. And I know some people will be like, oh, Kyle Larson doesn't make him break the event. Well, in the aspect I'm talking about, yes, he does. Because what made that event was what I described a minute ago, where everyone in the open wheel dirt world showed up. And if you won it, you had to be able, you got to say, I'm the best. You competed against them. If Kyle Larson's not in that building, you can't say that. It sucks that Rico's not there. It sucks that Christopher Bell's situation is one of the most heartbreaking things I think is happening in motorsports today, in the world today, personally. Regardless, he saved this event. So in the promotership aspect, the selflessness aspect of that way of looking at it, obviously he wants to win. Kyle's a very guy. He wants to win it all. But what he's providing in this situation outweighs all that. And then the promotion of the two races. Not only is it helping the Chili Bowl get what it needs from Kyle, the Wild West Shootout now, this dirt double, of course, the asphalt doubles, the Indy 500 and then Coke 600 and NASCAR and Indy cars. And now they're trying to spin it, and it's great promotion. Once again, this is promoter Kyle. They're spinning it into this dirt double where now it's a Chili Bowl and Wild West Shootout. Can you do them both? Hopefully they will time it. I mean, honestly, if I was the Wild West Shootout and I wanted the competitive side, want it like this, but if I was promoter side of this, I would really try to coordinate on making that happen. On where Kyle can come and run both, because almost everyone who would watch the Saturday night Chili Bowl, which I'm assuming Kyle Larson will make the A main. He's like I said, he's one of the baddest son of a bitches behind the wheel of these things. I'm assuming if I'm a open wheel dirt fan, and this is why they do it in the IndyCar NASCAR world, if I watch Kyle Larson potentially win or run second or have a good showing at Chili Bowl, and then I know in 2 hours I'm going to be able to kind of track. It's almost like for some of these people watching Santa Claus or God transfer from one world to another. I would keep up with that tracking of it. Maybe you can look into his watch. Apparently his watch is just for heart rate, but you can apparently track him on Strava or whatever. So it uploads information to websites. I guess you just can't receive information. At least that's the status quo. We can track Kyle with his watch, apparently. Leave the Chili Bowl, get into a plane or some kind. Like I said, he may just take off and fly. He may walk outside and just jump and go. Or put a broom under there. He may be a warlock. We don't know this stuff. It's possible. It's possible. Just fly around. Just fly all the way to Vado. We can track him on the watch. I guarantee almost everyone watching that Chili Bowl, which will be a lot Saturday night, will instantly switch over and watch that Wild West Shootout, which I almost want to say probably 3/4 of them would not. And I know some people are saying, oh, there's a ton of late model and sprint car fans, and the fan bases are mixed more than you think. And Kyle's helped a lot. Kyle has helped a lot. But if that transition don't happen where Kyle's over there, I don't think it happens as much as you're thinking, because I still hear people all the time, trashing each side. But regardless, the promoter element here is just insane. I mean, the credit for what the promotional aspect of this, the hiding it, the putting it out there, the dirt double, the whole thing, the whole shebang it's almost like the Australia drivers. He's just walking your ass, bro. He's just walking up and down your ass. He's kicking fucking ass out there. You got to respect it. Don't blame the tire. Don't fucking spin it off to this or that or the other. He's doing he's walking ass in the promoter world. And so we're not talking about racing on the track and talent base and all this shit that I talk about that I think people should wake up to, or icons or anything like that. We're talking about promotion. And in that element of promotion, what Kyle Larson has done here, it's not about the racing version of Kyle Larson in this scenario to me. It's about the promoter, Kyle Larson. And in that element, the credit is deserving and respected and due. So I can't bitch about this. I can't be upset about this. I can talk about a racing situation or this or that or the other, or watches when they're in the rule book. I can talk about all this other stuff. But as far as what's happening right here, this ninja right here is doing the right thing in the promoter aspect of this entire scenario. Very, very well thought out. And I would also say there's probably some other people in there, collaborating. Brian Walker, very smart guy. Michael Rigsby, very smart guy. Matt Ward and all them. They said they hid the whole searching of the watches and the switching of the receivers from everyone. It was only Matt Ward and the one lady who knew that they were going to go around there and do it. They hid it from everyone in the building, even their own officials. That's why it took so long. So these people are good. They should be good. These promoting style elements are intriguing, and it's only going to grow the sport. This is now headline news. If you go search, or I didn't even search earlier, I just opened up a new tab on my web browser, and it said, Kyle Larson surprise entry to Chili Bowl. It's like headline news now. This is how you promote. You don't just come out there and say, hey, we're paying $20,000 to win this week and $2,000 to start, $100,000 to win. Come on and pay an entry fee. We'll see you there. That's not how you promote events. This is how you promote events. This is how the big boys do it. So, got to respect the big boy pants when he's putting them on, and this is some damn good shit here. I do enjoy what they have done here and how I view it. Once again, I'm just assuming, but makes sense. I don't think Kyle's dumb. You can't be dumb and do what he does on the racetrack or do what he's doing in the racing world in general. But anyways, that is the topics for the day. Let's see this chat. Let's see some reactions on all this. This is how we blow. Of course, there's Spike. You think Matt or his wife watches your streams? I do not know. I do not know. Like I said, Matt, in that sentence, I respect and enjoy and admire Matt Ward. Kyle is a spirit. That's possibly true. She's the marketing feminist for Kyle and Ginger Sweet's high-limit money laundering tour. Wow, that's an accusation there, Spike. I don't think you can say that. I don't think you could say that. Maybe we're going to... Where's some Buddy Kofoid? Oh, somebody said Gibbs is a pathetic human being. Wow. The backing the equipment of top tier makes everything. Let's take out driver ability just for a second. When I raced Aaron Reitzel back in the day, he had 10 times what I had. I won. He won. Aaron Reitzel just, Aaron Reitzel got very opportunistic with Bachman. Bachman, it seemed like, is what took Aaron Reitzel to the next level. As well as a Shane Liebig, I believe, helped him get into 410s as well. But people are selected. They're picked. Who's Kendra Jacobs? Seen that name a lot. Kendra Jacobs is a very passionate promoter for flow racing, has the right ideas in mind, has the right motivation. I think Kendra Jacobs is possibly one of the most passionate promoters in motorsports right now. When I watched that Dirt Million or Sprint Million deal that Flo put together, the way Kendra Jacobs talked is how we need more promoters of this sport and aspects, in all aspects, how she described things and explained things. Maybe you could do it a little less corny. Maybe you could do it like I do with a little bit of an attitude, fire people up, hype guy. But how she talked is the mindset and the mentality that is going to take this sport to the next level. If you're thinking another way, you're going to always end up second. She's going for W's. That's who Kendra Jacob is. Christopher Bell is nowhere near Kyle Larson. Okay. Yeah. Even though he kicked his ass year after year in the Chili Bowl. I mean, do we want to go back to the Swindell Speed Lab deal where he just sent him into the fence at Lawrenceburg? Christopher Bell is just as good as Kyle Larson. Just as good. I don't care what you say. If not better. Larson said if he locks in top 2 Thursday, Chili Bowl, he will fly back to Saturday night. If the Wild West race ends in time, he will try to fly back to Chili Bowl, but said Wild West is priority. I mean, he's already been racing Wild West all week, so I don't know. I don't know. We'll see how that works out. I would coordinate it if I was Flow Racing. The 39 fans in attendance at the Wild West shootout must be sad. That is true. They do not have a crowd at that event. I tried to talk to, I think it's Royal Jones who does a lot of stuff out there. They're in between 2 major cities. You just have to market things correctly. I don't know what the issue is there. I mean, Facebook ads don't work. Back to that, I talked about, if y'all want to know what I'm talking about, go to my video. And I think it's titled, So You Think You Promote? Really good video about promoting in dirt track racing. Give a little bit of my credentials to be able to even speak on the subject. And it is very hard. It's not an easy thing. But you got to try. You got to fail. You got to try. You got to fail. And you got to try. And you got to fail. And you got to try and see what works and what don't work. And then continue into it. It's called The Act. So go check that out on the YouTube. That is a good one. I think maybe the people at Vado and those individuals or a group or whoever's running that could learn some things from that video based on the grandstands I'm seeing there. Way too much money invested into that event. Whoever's the promoter of that event, whoever's in control of your marketing or getting the people in your area to the racetrack, the dude should be fired. That when you have that much money and that much talent and that much stardom in the building, and you can't fill some stands, you're failing. But most of the time, the people doing these things are somebody's buddy or friend. This is the nepotism monarchy that ruins the sport. There's a lot of people in positions, even in race cars, driving race cars, that are only there or promoting events that are only there because they're a buddy of the person who owns the place, or they're a buddy or a friend or a family member of the car owner or the big sponsor on the car. This is what technically is destroying the sport. This is what's destroying the sport, the nepotism monarchy, where people are in positions where they don't belong, and they're not performing to a level to be there. That's the issue. Kyle Larson is Nephilim. I mean, I'm not gonna tell you what happened to me in Charlotte, North Carolina. Charlotte's Web, buddy. Charlotte's Web. I'm not sworn to secrecy, but you just won't believe me if I told you what I saw. That's the issue. You won't believe me, so I don't talk about it. We all have our signals and our signs. I don't hate Kyle, but let's take a second and beg the question. Does it feel like when the Rock or Stone Cold or even a Sting or Goldberg, it's this? Yes, exactly. Kyle has a Learjet and just mocks everyone by flying all over to 20 races in one day. He's the enemy of dirt racing. Of course, a typical Spike comment. Check the flight tickets back and forth from the Wild West Shootout. Should be on Flow Racing's credit card. I do hear there should be some type of private flight. I'm assuming there's going to be something private. New Zealand Sprint Car Championship, February 23rd and 24th, Western Springs Speedway. Might as well see it when down under. The week before that is $30,000 to win at Perth, and I was thinking of going to Brisbane for just to check out the tracks over there. Didn't really have an idea of what I was going to go and see. But we could delay that for a weekend. I'd have to see what it would take to get that visa approved to go to New Zealand, but I definitely would not shy away from that. I would think that the flight or travel fee would be just as much to go over to New Zealand as it would be to go all the way to Brisbane. So, message me on my Facebook, private Facebook, public Facebook, Long Live the Chaz. We'll see if we can make that happen. That is, I'm not against that idea at all. If we can make it happen, that's the issue, making it happen. Let's see the latest comments. Lots of charters flights from Charlotte. I hope they tear down the drill dough when Kyle wins and ends the chili bowl. This is great. Yeah, I'm interested in Charlotte, North Carolina story, Chaz. Make scared before I go to sleep. I can't do that. It happened in a hotel room. I got up in the middle of the night. You won't believe me. And I was walking. This was not a dream. I got up. I was going to use the restroom, and in the bathroom, they had the bed there. So imagine if this phone is like the hotel room completely, and like the bathroom's over here, and the bed is over here, and you get up and you walk around to go into the bathroom, right? So bed's over here in the living room, front door's over here. This little cheapy ass hotel, Motel 6, I think it was. So beds were here. And then right in front of the, before you went to the bathroom was the sink and everything right here. And there was a big mirror on the wall. So I got up, I went out this side of the bed, and I was walking this way, and I was looking in the mirror, and something literally popped up and ran at me in the mirror. And I fucking spun around, scared to fucking death. And nothing was there. And I'm not going to say what it looked like or what shifty way it could have been something or someone. I'm telling you right now, 100% true story. I got some other true stories, but I'm gonna save those for the Scott Bloomquist show. If we ever get a talk show with Scott No, I wasn't drunk. I was 100% sober. I don't forget things that actually happened, and I got some other stories too. But we're gonna wait. If me and I think they went after Scott Bloomquist too, back in the 90s. I think they were trying to make Jeff Purvis the biggest thing. They were trying to cold trickle the late model fan base back then. And I think when Scott Bloomquist had his all crazy scenario situation, that it wasn't by accident. It was by design. They were trying to destroy his credibility in society, in the world, because he was threatening their design that they had created. With the cold trickle effect in the sprint car world, they were trying to translate that into the Jeff Purvis situation with the late model world. And it didn't work because Scott Bloomquist was too big of a fucking icon. And they tried to do some stuff to him, I think, to ruin his credibility so people wouldn't like him anymore. Of course, Jeff Purvis failed. You're not going to get over on the non-Moloch followers. They're still, like I said, that's the black side. They're still the white side. So, and we're not talking about skin color. We're talking about energy or matter. actually. We're talking about matter. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, let's see. Oh man, I got a few ghost stories for you. It's not aliens, it's not ghosts. It's not aliens, it's not ghosts. Aliens don't exist. Aliens are deceptive, right? What else is? Just saying. Just saying. Ain't no such thing as aliens. Well, it's like, who controls language? Like, okay, so you see a bird fly across the front yard. Somebody told you that that's a bird. That's not a bird. That's what somebody created to tell you that thing that's moving there with that structure of body and how it looks. All the things we're saying right now, all the verbiage that I'm using, the language that I'm saying out of my mouth right now to communicate with you was taught, was given, was created onto people. Somebody created that. So when we talk about aliens, for instance, that's a word that someone gave you to label something that you can't explain. That's not necessarily, and alien, the word alien's relatively new in human history. It's like 60 years old, 70 years old. Oddly enough, happened right after World War II. So it's interesting. The alien, the word alien, and all this stuff that you talk about is just, in a way, fictional. It's created by somebody to tell you, to label it, to describe it, but you didn't describe it. You didn't necessarily experience it. So I don't know if aliens actually exist, potentially. What's that coming over the hill? I don't know what you mean by that, Jordan. Don't know what you mean by that. Kyle is an alien. He is evil and a spirit. Oh, my God. Why would you say something that mean? Yeah, they were called gods and visitors. Or you know, they got the clockwork elves. You know, you got the watchers. You got a lot of stuff biblically that explains a lot of these things. But, you know, you got to be cloaked. You know, you got to be cloaked. Cloaking is very real. I mean, there could be people in here filming right now we wouldn't know. Just because the Predator and Aliens versus Predator went invisible doesn't mean that that's like new or old technology. I mean, they had Oculus Rift and cell phones in the Army in the 60s. Literally Oculus Rift. So, when is the post shuffle? Post shuffle is usually Saturday after they have locked in all of the drivers. I guess we could look at tomorrow's lineup. Yeah, pay the man. I would like a super chat, you fucking assholes. It's all right. It's okay. I don't need your money. We're fine. I'll work for it. If they did this whole radio swap deal last year, would Torgetson's belts have been tight? That's on them, buddy. I should go find that tweet where they said that. I'm not even going to repeat it. Those people don't deserve attention. Honestly, that's how I feel about it. I don't even want to acknowledge them as existing participants. This is tomorrow's entry. Kobe Stubblefield, Sammy Swindell tomorrow night, Briggs Danner, PA guy. We did this yesterday, but might as well. Kyle Cummins. I know today we hit on some, if you did do dirt draft, if you picked up on Landon Brooks, hey, buddy, you cashed in picking that Landon Brooks. You cashed in. I'll try to see if I can see another Landon Brooks style pick I got for y'all today or for tomorrow. Kyle Cummins. Let's see here. Michael Vicento always rung strong in a trifecta motorsports machine, so keep an eye out for that one. Always going to be good. Teamed up with that Chase McDermott, who ran extremely strong tonight. Mike Hess runs well. Jace McIntosh, Jonathan Beeson, going to be a contender. Although it is an S-Slinger now. Not a Toyota. He's not rolling with a Yoda this year, according to the entry list. Mitchell Mose, silent contender. Obviously, he's always really good at the shootout. Has a lot of laps of that track. Steve Buckwalter, always a good sleeper. If you can get him for a good price, get him. Kobe Copeland, these Matt Wood racing cars are always on point, and Copeland runs good in them as well. So if Kobe Copeland's at a cheap price, pick him up. Pick him up. That's a sleeper. I don't know if it's going to be a sleeper. It depends on where they set him. But that'll be a contending race car. That'll be a top 10 car in the main event. Corey Day, obviously. Do we really need to talk? Dylan Welch. Dylan Welch, man, this is a crapshoot. He's in a Yoda. He's in a King chassis Yoda. Ooh, he's got the car that came from New Zealand where, you know, you learn all this bad language, apparently. Dylan Welch, that's hit or miss. You never know, but he's always strong at Chili Bowl. Always strong. Blake Hahn, put him on your list. He always is extremely good at this track every year. Always up front, most of the time. Tyler Courtney, you know what it's about. In a team car there with David Gravel. Jake Swanson, I was expecting Kevin Thomas Jr. to do way better today than he did, and I'm going to say that was a vehicle deal. So I don't know about these Bowman Racing vehicles. I'm not sold on them at all. How about a big praise for Kyle Strickler, though, in one of those Chase Briscoe rides? Kyle Strickler did impressively well for a late model modified guy today. Garrett Williamson, you never know. These young hitters can sometimes hit really hard. Brent Cruz, I hear he's got a lot of talent, but he is asphalt road course guy. But he does do dirt on occasion. That'll be interesting. Jade Avedisian, I think this female is the real female of the building, but she is overly aggressive, extremely overly aggressive. I think in this building, you're not going to get away with as many things as she gets away with on the national scene. So Jade Avedisian, if she doesn't wreck or get wrecked because she drives somebody a little dirty, and in this building they're going to let her have it, she could run very well. But I would say top 10 vehicle, Jade Avedisian. But drivers are in the building. Drivers are in the building once again. You know, Sammy Swindell's there, buddy. How would that go? A Sammy Swindell versus Jade Avedisian issue in the drama department of the Chili Bowl. I could see that happening, actually. Colton Cottle, Ryland Gray, Danny Wood. You never know with Danny Wood. And that looks to be about it. Did I miss any? Oh, Dason Pursley, a CB Industries car. Once again, another one of those overly aggressive, at least in the shootout, was overly aggressive. And those overly aggressive guys get dealt with in the Chili Bowl. That's usually what happens. So, we'll see how it works. If I was dirt drafting and had to pick 5 guys, I'm definitely putting Kyle Cummins in there. I'm putting Kobe Copeland in there. So that's 2. I ain't got the money in front of me to see how much these guys are worth. But Kobe Copeland, Kyle Cummins. I want to say Jonathan Beeson. Let's see. That's 3. If you could afford Corey Day, do it. But I feel like you're going to be a little more affordable picking up on a Dylan Welch for 4. And I feel like you're kind of having to shop in that 2 to 8 range, the non-favorites of the event for that 5th pick. And then I would do Blake Hahn. So Blake Hahn, let's see. Kobe Copeland. Dang, I don't even remember what I just said. Kobe Copeland, Jonathan Beeson, Kyle Cummins, and did I say Corey Day? Did I say Corey Day? I should have. If I didn't, I should. Dylan Welch, one of the 2. It's something like that. Those are some guys I would pick up on. But anyways, that's your Wednesday night entry list. And now Thursday, let's see who Kyle actually has to go up against here. LaPlante, Baston, Sherrill, Gastineau. I mean, Baston's going to be good. He's usually really good at midgets. Sherrill's usually a contender. This Carter Scharf looked extremely well in the Race of Champions. Gavin Boschel, wild card. Kyle Spence, wild card. If it's micros, I'd say potential winner. JJ Yaley, Andrew Dill is always strong. Ricky Thornton Jr. is on the same night, so that would be pretty cool. Ethan Mitchell right there with him. That'll be pretty cool to see RTJ and Ricky and Kyle Larson go at it. Brady Bacon right there. This is actually pretty stacked. Kyle's not going to have it easy. He may not win his preliminary night. He may not finish top 2. Chase Johnson, Casey Schumann, always good in a midget. Got Brad Wyatt in there. Matt Westfall's there. CJ Leary. Taylor Ferns. Ryan Bernal, always tough. Tanner Thorson. Kaylee Bryson. And Kyle Larson. Bro, I hope I'm landed I honestly now I want to see this. This is going to be probably more entertaining than Saturday, especially since how they reworked that track. This is going to be the race of the week, race night of the week for sure. Buckle up and be ready, because this one's going to be a wild ride. Wow. So if you don't hear about a plane going down in the Pacific Ocean, and I'm doing a Facebook Live from some deserted island trying to watch Flow, this is going to be the amazing race that we should probably talk about when it's over. Wow. That's stacked. That's a stacked qualifying night there, buddy. That is not a Kyle Larson W. Just instantly. Wow. Okay. All right, let's look at the comments. One last time. We're about to get out of here. Has Brad Molson qualified yet? Not sure. Tanner Thorson is married. I don't know if that matters in the racing world anymore. Alex Bright will be good, I'm sure. Please call him. The Chaz link to French fries delivered to the blind. Nope. When I do Uber Eats, sir, I decline all fast food orders. I try to help and assist small businesses, local businesses, as far as restaurants are concerned. I do not try to, when I see a chain restaurant, I just decline it. Especially fast food. Bowman did say he's focusing on NASCAR for now. Maybe his dirt program has suffered. But he said in that talk with Gravel, I believe it was, or Dirt Tracker, I think it was, that they put a lot of work into those midgets. So I don't understand that. Hannah is divorcing him for my sausage. Wow. Talking about Dylan Welch. Disgusting. Kyle Larson bit the apple. Somebody's retracting messages now. We need a Bloomquist interview. Would be gold. If he wants it, I'm trying to devise it. But he's got to be willing to come out. I know he's trying to save all this information for a book. But he seems like he knows some stuff. He does. Larson in a Keith Coons ride, I'm assuming you meant to say, is honestly scary. I'm sure he will be flying. It is going to be hard for them to hold Kyle back. But that's a stacked night, buddy. That's a stacked night. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of stuff we opened the show with. I know our numbers went up here a little bit. But go and look at what we had to say earlier. Very entertaining stuff, talking about the Kofoid, World of Outlaw situation, talking about Matt Ward in particular, the guy who had all this Watchgate situation, how he handled it, and our little thoughts on that. But we are going to be closing down here for the final time for who knows how long. Maybe, hell, if we're going to New Zealand at the end of February, who knows how long we'll be gone. The background will be back, but who knows when. We got to make this flight first. We got to get across the ocean. We got to hope this package is delivered before, we got to drive through 12 inches of snow to get to the airport that's 2 hours away. It's going to be a very entertaining day for me tomorrow. Let's just say that much. But we are going to be traveling to Australia, going down under, potentially have a scenario where we can do these lives. I'm going to bring all the equipment to be able to do the same type of thing. It won't be the same background. I am bringing some lighting, so it should be sort of similar to that. But we will see what happens. Kind of tried to set you up for to Wednesday night and Thursday night. Friday night, we may be back. Thursday after that race, we may be back. It'll depend on how this flight and the snow and all this stuff is happening up here in the upper Midwest. It's pretty treacherous right now. But as always, like the video. If you haven't sent a super chat, screw you. Don't like you anyways. No, I'm just kidding. If you can't send a super chat, if you can't assist, if you can't go into the PayPal descriptions and Venmo to help the Australian trip, share the video around, get the word out, get the Chaz, get what we're saying here that you love so much, share it to other people so that they can love it so much. Truth always needs assistance because the negative liars of the world run this shit. Just saying. They just run it all. You got to have mouth-to-mouth kind of, or word-of-mouth kind of assistance to get this type of stuff out there to the world. So share it around on your social media, Facebook pages, heck, text it around. Look at what this crazy white guy said. Share it around, get it out there. Of course, subscribing. We would love to get to 10,000 subscribers. We tried to get there at the end of the year. It didn't necessarily happen. We're not as lucky or as cookie cutter. So be sure to subscribe, comment on it, like it, share it above all. And if you want to join the membership, there's a button down here to do so. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you enjoyed the show. We will see you in another hemisphere next time here on the Chaz. As always, thanks for tuning in. See you next time. where the water spins the other direction. Did you please?
We can ride high, we can ride low. We can ride anywhere we need to go. We can ride all night up to the morning, as long as we make the show. We can be the best, or we can be the worst. We can be the best thing you ever heard. With the motor singing and the grandstands ringing, it's hard to put it all in words, but this is how we ride.